Take a moment to recognize that we did lose a former school board member this past week. Ask everyone, please keep your thoughts and prayers for Charles Thomas Warner. He was 73. Most people knew him as Tom or Tommy. He served on this board, Clark County School Board, from November 24th, 1998 to December 16th, 2002. He is survived by his wife Glenda, his son Kevin, Kevin's wife Missy, and Tommy's daughter Deanna. Tommy is a big reason I served on this board. He was not only my friend, but he was also my father-in-law. So I'm honored to serve on the same board as he did, and he will be missed. It's also come to my attention right before we walked in that the school district has also lost another person, an employee at the Phoenix Academy, where she served as custodian. So please keep your thoughts and prayers for Debbie Ann Griffith. She was 61. She passed away on December 10th. Please keep her family in your thoughts and prayers as well. With that, let's take a moment of silence and pledge of allegiance. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Adoption of the agenda. Review of the agenda. Anyone? Any changes, discussions, or motion?
I move to adopt the agenda.
We have a motion to adopt.
A second.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay. Consider approval of minutes for November 22nd, 2002 regular meeting and November 29th, 2002 special meeting.
I move to approve the minutes.
We have a motion by Ms. Ritchie,
A second.
second by Ms. Hall. All in favor? Aye. Okay. On to student, staff, and school recognition. Staff recognition of finance audit, frontline employees, finance, and HR employees. Ms. Ellis. Okay.
So last month, you all were presented with the results of our financial audit for this past school year, which reflected no findings or comments in regards to the review of our accounts payable, payroll, and Redbook processes. This is the second year in a row for no findings with accounts payable and Redbook, and that's actually a first since I've been in this role, so that was just fantastic for us in our financial audit. And so tonight we wanted to recognize those folks who have had a hand in those financial processes, and we just truly appreciate them, and I personally consider them part of my finance team, and I could not do this job without them. There is no way the amount of work that it takes from the start of the front lines to the end of making those payments, that it takes a village. It truly, we want to recognize that village tonight. There's only a few of them that could be here with us, but those that we consider on the front line are our secretaries, bookkeepers, our FRCs, our department secretaries. They are the ones who work directly with our students, our staff. They are the ones that get all the needs out there. They make sure that we have the resources that are needed to serve our students completely with instruction, social and emotional needs of all of our students. And so those folks tonight, those who are here, is Ms. Sherry Reed with GRC. Yeah, we'll do a group at the end too. Miss Tammy Fry with Strode. Miss Angie Estes with the preschool. Miss Mary Gratial with the Exceptional Child Department. Miss Arlene Nance, the former superintendent secretary. And next, members of our Finance and Human Resources team who work collaboratively, that doesn't come out all very well, every day to ensure that the needs of our staff are met from every direction. These ladies have to daily and weekly communicate with the folks that we've already mentioned, and they are being recognized tonight as their work for the remainder of the district when it comes to onboarding payroll and staff. The team puts all those pieces together and ultimately reviews the documents the auditors are analyzing. So these are the folks at the end of the line, and Miss Whitney Hood with our payroll.
Thank you.
Miss Lori Todd, a former payroll. And Miss Kim Anderson with accounts payable.
Thank you.
And there's many names that were not listed that couldn't be with us tonight, but everyone is greatly appreciated.
We have one more surprise and delight, I think. We would like to also take this opportunity to recognize Miss Alicia Ellis. That's why it's a surprise and delight. You were expecting it, then it wouldn't be the surprise part. She's also gonna go home with this beautiful poinsettia.
Oh,
So that's yours to take as well.
thank you.
Who wants to hold the poinsettia? Absolutely. You guys are in the middle. I'm gonna stand on that. Don't worry about that.
Oh, Laura's in the middle.
It was a natural smile. Thank you. Thank you, ladies, very much for that.
The Kentucky State DPP Board every year hosts a high attendance day. And of course, I'm over number 16 region, and we all want to win. There's 17 of us, and we battle it out. And we get to celebrate 2 of the 3 class winners. And if we can have Mr. Markham or a representative from Conkright. He won the large elementary for Region 16.
We'll give him a little sign. You hold the big sign.
I have to tell a little secret. When I called and asked him if he could come tonight, he said, "Which award now?" Little sassy. I'm just teasing, but here.
Here's the number.
We appreciate everything you all do. And for Region 16, we have large middle school. And And that would be Baker and Millette. And that's what we do with the mail.
We have to blow it up for him.
And I could barely get in the car with 2 winners out of the 3 because I was so excited. Thank you, Natalie.
Good job, Kimberly.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I need them. All right. Yeah. Public comments? Do we have any? Okay. On to student support services. Consider approval to update school resource officer job description. Ms. Ellis.
Good evening. I'm presenting for Dr. Parrish, that she couldn't be here tonight. So last month when we presented the overall SRO job descriptions, we did not present this one, which is just updating the format and a few little tweaks to the language, but essentially it's the same job description we've had on the books for our law enforcement officers. We just wanted to update to match the formatting and everything with the other job descriptions. So it's really kind of just a housekeeping item.
I make the motion to approve job description.
We have a motion by Ms.
Second.
Hall, second by Ms. Ritchie. All in favor? Aye. Consider approval of first reading of the 2023-24 school year calendar. Ms. Christy Bush.
I was asked by the committee to find counties around us. Only one other county had started this early, and that was Scott County. So I printed that one so you could have a reference point. In your drive, you had 3 items. One was the survey to parents, students, and staff. The second one was the entire PowerPoint that we went over as a committee and all the different ideas we went through. And then the third one was the one proposal that the committee chose to bring to you all for your first read and acceptance. Is there anything that you would like me to go over in detail?
Can we go to the PowerPoint?
Yes, sir.
Kind of review, not the survey, but the actual PowerPoint that has some, I think, different options in those.
The first option, you actually have 3 for 172 calendar days. The differences in the 3 are a full Thanksgiving, a full fall break, a 3-day Thanksgiving, which is typically normally what we do. The start and stop dates are a little different. You have August the 10th, August the 15th, and August the 16th, which in the end pushes your dates out for the last day for students. 5 teacher workdays were built into all 3 of those. So they're similar in year or days of 172, but looking at the survey, they have different wishes that each group asks for. If you look at the very end, you've got 86 days one semester, the second semester. You have 82 the first, 90 the second, 84 the first, and 88 the second. So those are some differences. So that was the 172 calendar with 3 options. The next one was 170, which is your minimum for the state. And it also had 3 options, and they mirror the 172 with different start dates, 2-day fall break, a full fall break. The only difference in these, when the students are here less days, obviously the staff still has to complete their contracts of 187. So you have 7 teacher work days built in between opening and closing days. You have 87 days and 83 for each semester, 82 and 88, and 83 and 87 on the 173 options.
And the 170 is a minimum, so
Yes, sir.
if we have weather days,
It's day for day.
It's day to day, we're going, I mean, there's no buffer in the 170.
We
That-
have 110 NTI days, which are at the discretion of weather and health, that Superintendent Mr. Howard can use for everybody.
How many?
10.
10, okay.
10.
Thought you said 110.
That's
No,
what I
10.
thought she said too.
I might have said that, sorry. 10.
It's like, wow,
And
move
we're
it
for
up.
sure
He
getting
wishes
those,
he had 110. Yes.
we're for sure getting those
They're
next
not
year.
gonna give us unlimited anymore. They're gonna stick with the 10.
Well, at one time, I thought they were doing away with NTI all the way around. That's what they had talked about.
Yep. So yeah, I think everyone pretty much uses those. I mean, I can't speak for the other counties, but. You will notice that we do go a little bit longer during our day. That was on one of the PowerPoints. Of course, those are the emergency type days that Mr. Howard would have at his discretion. The minimum is 1062, depending on which, if you went with the 170, we go 1,119.16 hours. So that does give a little, Mother Nature is beyond Mr. Howard's 10 days that you do have available just because we go a little bit longer.
This 170 days worries me. Just because as soon as we do that and approve that, a blizzard's gonna come through.
You can't fight Mother Nature.
No. And then I think now people have gotten so used to us having those days to forgive at the end of the year, we won't have them. And then trying to plan a graduation and moving days around. And if you have to make them up and you're trying to move them around and it's moving day to day if you go beyond those 10 days. Because 10 days sounds like a lot until you get hit with a couple of snowstorms.
Last year, we used a total of 9. Just, I know you probably remember, but just in case you need a reference point.
When's the last time that we did 170? A calendar of 170?
I've never,
I don't think I've ever, since I've been on.
no ma'am.
Well, been on board a lot longer than I
Yeah.
have, so I haven't seen it either.
Yeah, I don't think.
Is there a reason why we went from 3 to 5 teacher work days?
Just to well, the 187 days of the school calendar that the staff has to do, we were trying to make that accommodating for well, they have to do the contract anyway. So if we're going to use that for academic purposes and professional development, any of our programs, we have those built in. So to get, depending on the calendar, you'll have those days, 187, you'll either have 5 teacher work days built in, or you'll have 7 teacher work days built in to accommodate that 187 calendar. And you have to do those before opening and closing day.
But I guess my question is, why do you have to have 5? Why couldn't you have 3?
We don't have, we can have any. We can have a number that, you all choose, you're the board.
Why was 5 proposed, or was 7
It got us
proposed?
to 187. And it was one of the things on the survey that the teachers did vote for, that they would like them built in.
Yeah, I saw the survey, yep.
Now, we changed that wording a little bit on the parent and the student. If we do have teacher work days, does that add any hardship to you finding daycare or anything like that? And their answer was no.
I guess what my question boils down to, we're taking 2 extra days for teacher work days instead of instructional days for kids. And
And you
that's
can
not.
change that.
Okay.
Yes, sir. This year, we have 174, and then we're at 173 right now, that we'll look at Mr. Howard's approval with you all to either make that up or use that as one of our days. So last year was 174. Because we did take one of those, that Monday before Election Day, the Friday, I'm sorry, before Election Day. It was a weather day, kind of. And then we had the Monday as an NTI.
Ms. Hall, do you have any
Well, I mean,
discussion?
the meeting went on for a long time, and there was a lot of conversation. Some of the points that I think we need to consider is the start date, because a lot of in that survey, the parents didn't want to start too early. And then they seemed to want a fall break, this whole week fall break. And the main reason I feel like that whole committee made a decision of the 170 was to do with the end date too, because in the 172 calendar, the end date falls into that next week, and the teachers were concerned that kids wouldn't come back on that Monday. I remember that conversation. And then I didn't talk a lot because of those NTI days. We didn't really talk a lot about like your concern. But then I hear your concern and I understand it. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
because if it's, I mean, if you get those days, and they gotta come back, because now there's nothing to forgive. And you're trying to plan a graduation around that,
yeah,
and
and
get invitations sent out and everything else. And
May the 21st is the election primary, so that happened to either be a day off for students or, staff could work, but we just can't have the students in the building. So that is a day that is either a teacher work day or a closing day.
7 teacher work days sounds a little excessive,
Okay.
especially when we're sitting and hearing how we need to do this and do that to catch our students up.
Okay.
there was some conversation about maybe doing away with maybe the one either in February or March, because since we have President's Day off in February, and that would push the days in the semester off a little bit. There was talk of coming back on I guess that's the 3rd, on the 2nd, or it looks like they're already, what is X?
Now, any teacher workday, if we did fight with Mother Nature in the second semester, can be used as an instructional day because the teachers are already working. So it would be available just for Mr. Howard to make that an instructional day with students.
So we can put it all on you. Here you go.
Yeah, you could. That's absolutely your choice.
Make every kid mad at you and the teachers.
There was also a lot of conversation about the high school and the dual credit issue and balancing the days in each semester. And it was there was one perfect calendar that had the same amount, but it just seemed really, we started like on the 9th.
Yeah. No, I like
Yeah.
the late. I wouldn't want to start any earlier in August. I think, yeah.
So this is your first read. Of course, it has to have a second, but the second could come back with any changes that you would like to request and go back to the committee. One of the main reasons is to do this, if you've noticed, we've never done this in December before, but Mr. Howard did have a conversation with us about some companies have to have a 6-month wait for parents to ask for vacation or any type of days like that. And this was to accommodate that situation. Usually we don't talk about this until March-ish and have a second read in April.
So I've had several parents reach out to me for a full week, kind of follows that survey for fall break. So I agree with that. And I can see how the calendar's not working in our favor yet, where if we did do the 172, then, kids got to come back on that Monday, the 20th, which, like you said, Ms. Hall, might be iffy. But I don't see a 170 calendar with every option for 170 has 7 teacher work days. Correct?
Yes, sir. Because they still need to get in their 187 for
Yeah.
a full contract year. Academically, Ms. Biffen has a lot of great things that are going on that we could strategically put into professional days. So I think that she said definitely 3. And the others would be, a bonus.
I'm good with 3. 3 wouldn't bother me a bit. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that's what we're accustomed to. 7 just seems like a whole lot to not have kids in the classrooms.
So if you were looking at that calendar, it would sort of be what we've had this year, 174, or you could do a 175.
Yeah, I mean, really, you guys have a lot of leeway, and I completely understand your concern. I mean, you wouldn't even have to do 172, you could do 173. I mean, you can literally split the difference. We were really just looking to be a little more creative to see, especially with the teacher work days this year were truly work days. Next year with bringing Archega strategies in, those 3 work days are going to be heavy training days. So although they're listed as work days, the teachers aren't going to be able to do a whole lot of work that they were able to do on those days last year with some of the thinking. But there's a couple 172 options that I think would be very appropriate too. Again, it's your all's decision, but trying to get you in the thought
Yeah.
process of why we were looking at something a little bit different. That's why.
Could we look at a calendar that ends on the 17th with a full fall break? And I don't know if that would make it 174 with 3 teacher work days?
So if you ended with the students on the last day, which is Friday, then you would be looking at a 171 calendar because you're adding 1 day to students. And then the teachers, I mean, they're still working, so it's still as part of their 187.
That one there, that one there.
So you could
It's not full
push
fall
May
break.
17th as the last day, and 171 would be the instructional day calendar.
So you only been today.
And if anyone were to ask, your December looks a little odd because usually it's 2 straight weeks in December. But with the holidays being on a Monday in January, you're getting the 2 days in January. So it kind of evens out.
I noticed Georgetown is taking those 2 full weeks. I think it's just that, it's like a, almost, ever since I can remember, you've always had 2 solid weeks off.
And we could do that if
Yeah.
that's what the board wishes.
I'm sorry.
They're doing what now?
What was
Taking
it?
off December
Well,
8th?
yeah, they're taking
Oh,
off
okay.
the 2, so they're starting their break on the 18th and coming back on the 2nd.
And we're
We
starting.
were
ours
mentioning
when-
December looked a little odd from traditional. It's because the holiday is pushed into January 2 days. 'Cause New Year's Day is on Monday for the official holiday part because it's on a Sunday.
Oh.
So it'll be a 171 calendar day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like those better.
You know,
Good
so
full week.
there's an option, you could do the 171 day calendar with 6 teacher work days and still end on that Friday of the 17th. Which I know that might be against what you would like because
I
it's
didn't even
adding
hear what
more.
you said. I was over here
Okay.
looking at what Dora said. What?
So on slide 6, if that's,
That's one
we
of
go
them.
to slide 6, it's a 170 day calendar.
Mm-hmm.
If you change that to a 171 day calendar and add another teacher work day, which makes it 6 instead of 5, the school would end for students on that 17th, May 17th.
And the extra 2 teacher work days would be at the end, so you could add those as instructional days if you needed to. That's not the right slide, by the way.
No,
Miss
slide
Ritchie, if
6.
you'd like to do the third one, where there's one all by itself, it might be easier to look
Slide
at.
6.
Slide 6.
That's
It's
why
the big,
That one.
Yep.
that's 172. The third
That's the right one.
attachment,
That's the right one there.
So what Mr. Talby was saying, instead of the 20th being the closing day, because then you've got kids coming back on or last day of school, you got kids coming back on a Monday, make that the teacher work day, so it'd be 271, but the 2 teacher work days are at the end of the year, so if you ran into problems, Ms. Ritchie, you could turn both of those into instructional days.
Instructional days.
So, Mr. Howard, you would take away one of the teacher work days in either March or February? Is that what you're saying?
In that scenario, you, instead of having 5, you would make it 6, but the last 2 would absolutely be contingent on good weather.
So we go from 5 teacher work days to 6 teacher work days. We go to a 171 day calendar, but that third
Essentially,
week
it
of
turns
May.
into a 173 if we need to.
Yeah.
So then, but why are we keeping the one in March then?
One in March.
Beth,
The
can you
teacher
tell me
work day.
what number is up
I
there
think the
on that
thinking was
slide?
March
Is it
becomes a very,
D?
very long
A?
month. Extremely long, especially if you did not have a lot of weather.
Well,
So
'cause
it was a
you-
day to catch your breath.
Under
but-
draft.
Well, you've got a teacher work day in February, and then
Yeah, I mean, you could also take, you know, like you said, put the teacher workday in February to the end. You could absolutely do that and keep it at 172.
and
That's
then
a
you've
good
got
point.
President's
Oh, that's
Day
true.
in
Yeah.
February.
Yeah,
So you've got 2 days off in February, and then you go the first week of
yeah,
April as spring break.
yeah.
That'd be good. That's a good idea.
That's a great
You
idea.
take the February teacher work day, move it to the 20th of May,
And it's still
and it's still
172.
172 day calendar.
It's a good catch.
Okay, so the first semester stays the exact same,
Mm-hmm.
correct?
Mm-hmm.
So January stays the exact same. The teacher workday is omitted for February the 7th, and it's just an instructional day, correct? And then we go to, and everything's the same for March and April. In May, we make Monday a teacher workday on the 20th.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there's a teacher workday on that election day, and closing day is still the same.
Yep, and then that week there, if we do have some inclement weather, we have 3 days that week that could be instructional days if we needed it.
And that makes that 171.
172,
Still 172.
because we're just moving, we're
just
moving that day in
moving.
February.
Right, sorry, sorry. We
And
just
kind
moved it,
of
we
the
didn't omit it.
same thing with the, oh, I guess is that election day, maybe?
Election is on Tuesday, the 21st of May, and then you also have one November the 7th.
November 7th election?
Yes,
Okay.
we
Good
did
catch,
verify
I like
those
that.
days with,
That way keep it
Downtown.
172 and you got the kids out on that Friday.
okay?
Initially, it'll all change.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I guess, and that's what they need to understand. There's only 2 days now. But with this calendar, there's only going to be 2 days. That if you
And
miss
10
one of those,
NTI, and 10 NTI days. So
Right.
we got 12 days.
but if he doesn't call NTI, you have 2 days, and then you start making them up your day for day. Because right now, that's not what everybody's used to.
Now, Ms. Bush, is that completely accurate? If we've got time built in, do we just have those 2 days, or do we have some other days because we go longer? I think.
We have NTI that we use for 10 because they're
Right.
instructional. So they count as an in-person. So you're not taking away the 172 for how many days you use because they're instructional.
I understand that, but if the board wanted to, like right now, we have time built in, right?
Yes.
Banked. And
Yes.
so they're
We
saying, so above that, we only have those 2 days, or we have some extra days built in. I think that's Ms. Ritchie's concern.
May I say that? We have 8 days, seriously, based on our time.
Well, why didn't you start with that?
On top of
Because
that,
it's
so that
for
would give us the
emergency
20.
purposes, and
Okay.
we don't like to use that word on.
Well, no, but that I just know how that's going to end up at the end of the year. We're going to have a whole bunch of people sitting in here if we miss a bunch of days
Yep.
because they've already ordered graduation invitations and the graduation got moved till a week later.
So so we'd have the 10 plus the 8.
So you could
plus
take it
the
back.
2, Yes.
Mr. Howard's got it.
Okay,
Yep.
then I'm fine.
And we'll probably be looking at graduation on the 17th?
17. Yep.
17th. Okay.
Or you could get that a whole year and a half out early too,
Yeah.
if you had people coming in from out of town.
So I will change the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
We will get it out ahead of time so you can just look over it one more time for the second read in January. Is that a plan?
That's planned. Do we need to adopt, do we need to approve, we need to approve
Are you
it?
good with that? Because you were on the calendar
Yeah.
committee.
I'm
I
fine
mean,
with
you
that.
really got thrown on it in 2 days and told that.
Well, I just, it seems that when we were in the meeting, it seemed harder to come up with that conclusion that we just came up with. So, and I just want to, make sure Mrs. Bush has the opportunity to go back, make sure it's calculated correctly. And, because it was a very complicated process. It just seemed really simple now.
We have 21 people in a room too, so.
That could be what it was, yeah.
That's
It was something, so, for sure. But I think the most important pieces is the start date, and that full fall break seems to be really popular,
Yep.
so.
And then if you guys wanted to make changes with feedback, you would have
Yeah.
that for the next time.
Right.
But this gets us down the road a little bit. So you would need to approve the first reading.
Yeah, we need to
I make a
adopt.
motion to approve first reading of the
With the
23-24
changes.
calendar with changes that we proposed.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Consider approval of funds for the proposed transportation software pilot initiative with Samasara Incorporated for the remainder.
Samsara.
I'm sorry,
Samsara.
Samsara?
Donald, hang on just a second. Christy, can you send us a calendar with all the changes? Sure will. So that way we know what we did.
It's slide 6 with the change. The only thing, it's basically slide 6 with the taking that February workday and moving it to the 20th.
So that way people can see what it is
Yeah.
too and
Yeah.
get it out there. Okay, go ahead, Donald, sorry.
Okay.
In the, for the remainder of 2022-23 school year in the amount of not to exceed $27,000, Mr. Schneider.
Okay, I'm standing in steadfast for the Transportation Department tonight. They're requesting that the board consider continuing a program that they've trialed over the past 45 days with 7 buses that involves software that helps us improve our services with regard to management of our maintenance program with our buses and communication to our community and our parents and things of that nature. So it is in an effort to improve our efficiency, they would like for the board to consider extending this 45-day trial period to a pilot period for over the next 6 months for the remainder of the year. So at the risk of, or avoiding the risk of being redundant, we have the representative from Samsara Incorporated here to speak with you briefly about specifically what services would be available if the board were to support this pilot project for the rest of the year. So I'd like to introduce Tom Burns to address the board briefly on those services.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Tom Burns with Samsara. I'm on the public sector team out of the Atlanta office. I think I had a clicker. It's up there. I'm going to real quick just go over who our company is, a little bit of what we do. I have data from the 45, it's actually closer to 60 days now, of data that we've collected on the school buses, some things on the route, some safety-related data, and then fuel savings.
Before you get started, how many school buses has been trialed with your software in our district?
In your district, 7.
Okay.
So a little bit about the company. We present ourselves as a connected operations cloud company. So we take the entirety of your school's operations or your government's operations and we bring them into the cloud. So we're not adding additional hardware onto your systems and your networks. We are taking data from existing services. You don't need to go out and replace vehicles. You don't need any new technology other than ours in order to pull these into the cloud. And it gives you actionable data in one consolidated area for you to go through and make decisions based off of. You will actually be the first school in the state of Kentucky to work with us if you did proceed with this. We are in several county governments, Leslie County, Laurel County, McCreary County, Pike County, and Hardin County. We're working with the county governments there, predominantly in their administrative vehicles, solid waste vehicles, police, and fire. Some data points that we collect. So we're collecting currently 1.6 trillion data points for our customers yearly. That is 15,000 plus customers. We're closer to 16,000 now. These are just some awards. I'm going to have this PowerPoint for you too, just so you can go back. I don't want to take too much time. Some of where we focus on the K through 12 space, student safety is obviously paramount. Rising parent expectations. We're in a world now where parents want instant access to data. They always want to know where their kids are. They want to make sure their kids are safe. We provide the schools with that ability. Quick incident response, and then cost-effective services. So one of the things that we provide is real-time visibility. So we are the closest to real-time GPS ping in the industry currently. So you do have GPS on your buses. However, there is a breadcrumb trail, and you do not see exactly where the bus is at any given time. Our system allows you to pull up our dashboard. You'll see where all of your fleet is on a dash overlay, which I can pull up afterwards as well if you need to. And you're going to see the real-time ETA for the bus routes. And then you're going to be vehicle tracking through us, and then your current routing provider, Edulog. We enable you to do student ridership through them.
Is this what the parents will see or can see, or or is this for administration to see?
This is administration.
Okay.
So this view in particular, where you would see on that top screen, that is what a partnership with Edulog would look like. So our system does give you the option to expand your current Edulog program to enable a student ridership program through their parent app. What that would do is the parents would have a restricted access to only their students' data. Whichever student bus they were on, they're able to configure that if they have different drop-off days. And they'll be able to go through, similar to Uber, and see when the bus is going to arrive. They'll send you 10-minute notifications, 5-minute notifications. They'll give you a notification when your student is on the bus and then off the bus. Our system talks to their system and enables that to happen. So currently, your EduLog subscription is your routing database.
Okay.
So that's where all of your students' routes are kept, managed, and serviced. This essentially would just bring them to a cloud-facing student ridership platform.
So what's been proposed tonight is, that's not, the parent part of it is not included in that?
Correct.
Okay.
Student safety. So currently, there are cameras in the buses. However, if there was an incident on the bus, you would not be able to see what it was in any sort of real time. There's an SD card. You have to wait till the bus is back at the transportation garage for that footage to be downloaded. Our system allows you to live stream the footage inside of the buses. It enables the drivers themselves to hit a panic button and send a 60-second clip to the transportation director. So if there was an incident with the school bus physically in an accident, if there was a harsh event, if there was any sort of physical altercation on the bus with a student or a bus monitor, that would be able to be transmitted instantly to whoever would want to receive that information. For operational safety and efficiency, we are tapped directly into the bus's ECU and ECMs. So the current maintenance platform you have is FleetSoft. We are now, on these 7 buses, we're now updating all of the vehicle's information through there. So every mile that gets put on the bus, we're updating through Ryan and his team's maintenance logs. So that way buses are able to be accurately recorded for their preventative maintenance, and we're reducing times that you have to have buses off the road. API integrations, connector systems. API integrations are what I'm referring to when I say working with EduLog or working with FleetSoft, being able to tie those in. We do everything in the background, so our system just feeds them data, and they feed data back to us. So there's no human input, there's no human error when you have to go in and manually input odometer hours, or if you had to make route changes, that would reflect, any route change made in EduLog would reflect in our system.
So an EduLog, is that third-party software, does that purchase through you or through them directly?
That is, you currently are an EduLog customer.
Okay. Okay. So do we have the API for that? I mean, or is that an extra expense to
That's-
connect?
No extra expense.
Okay.
So it is turned on. The parent portal has not been rolled out through us. That is an EduLog program. We have the API turned on as well as the FleetSoft API. The FleetSoft API, I know we are driving data into. The EduLog, I'm not entirely sure. I know that we have it turned on and we don't charge you for that.
No, I am trialing the parent portal right now.
Oh, you are? Okay, that's,
I'm trying it on my daughter's bus.
okay.
Perfect. There you go.
Yeah, because,
When that bus comes within that geofence,
yeah.
it sends me a text, hey, your bus is arriving.
So I know you're trying it now on one bus. With this proposal, are you going
Actually, if we can do it across the state,
across
then
it?
we have to,
Okay,
correct.
all right, good.
So these are some ROI slides, but these are from schools around the U.S. that we work with. I do have some slides that are very specific to the district with data that I grabbed from the dashboard. So this is what we describe as a big picture slide. So or I guess the school's goal is to deliver an equitable education program. Where we come into play is improving the fleet awareness. We're doing that through accurate and real-time visibility into the driver actions as well as the vehicle. We're improving vehicle safety through properly maintained vehicles. We're also tracking the vehicle driving behaviors, so any speeding, harsh braking, mobile usage from the drivers, lack of seatbelt usage if they're distracted and looking out the window as they're driving. We're pulling all of that data in. We're consolidating into a safety score, so I'll show you that as well. Validating fuel spend. So currently you are using GasBoy as a fuel platform, which is also how you're getting your odometer data from the school buses. What we do is we're reading the fuel burn from each engine, so we're giving you gallons down to 1/10. As of Sunday, we can now go in and give you the exact fuel cost. Ryan will show you that. That's brand new. Another thing about us too, we are not a feature-based company, so anything that we improve, you get access to. Improving the community experience. So even without increasing your EduLog subscription, if you did not decide to do the parent portal, through community experience, you're still able to do route sharing if you needed to. If there was ever an incident that you needed to share with a parent where a bus was. You can do that through our system without Edulog. And there's a lot of other ways that you can still engage with the community without just within Samsara by itself.
And I'm just going to ask because give us a summary of Edulog. What is Edulog so that we all know, because I'm not sure what Edulog is.
Edulog is our routing software.
Okay.
Because we have a route that drop the buses, all the kids in, all the student information is in Edulog, and then assigns a route based on the location of their address, and it costs us
Okay.
Yeah, they work along.
It's your routing software. Okay.
And essentially, we're just able to dump the GPS data into that, which they can turn into, it's similar to Uber. It'll show you your route awareness. They do not have the GPS side of that or the telematics side of it.
Okay.
So one of the pain points that we first identified when I first started working with Denny and Ryan was fleet awareness. So going into fleet awareness is going to be real-time asset location, vehicle and equipment monitoring, so maximizing the uptime and productivity. Just across these 7 buses, one thing that we have noticed is the utilization across the fleet is unbalanced. So I'll show you that report as well. Essentially, all of the data that we're going to collect, we aggregate into something that you can actually use. So we're going to show you the percentage over a given time period, whether it be a quarter, a month, a year, for you to go through and see which buses were used and abused, which buses may have had more maintenance costs, which ones have more miles on them. Optimizing performance, so for PTO, which I'll pull up as well, anytime the bus stops, currently I believe it's only bus 1, anytime bus 1 stops and deploys their stop paddle, it's going to give you a map overlay. So when you can go back, 1561 also. So you can go back, you can see how long that bus was stopped at a student stop, if they had their stop paddle deployed, and then how long that stop paddle sat out. We also have the outward-facing camera that would be able to capture if someone were to drive past that stop paddle that you could send to law enforcement, keep for internal review, or whatever the current policy for that is today. We already talked about open APIs, and then obviously the future expansion of your current Edulog program if you did choose to do so. I'll skip through that. So here's some data that we grabbed from the actual dashboard. I'm sorry, I thought I was going to have my laptop in front of me. I can't see it. So the graph on the left, so this is going to be 45 days worth of fuel data. You're going to, on the left column, you're going to see your total fuel used, and then on the right column, we're going to see fuel wasted. Where we describe fuel wasted is going to be your idle time. The center chart is across 45 days, and this was kind of math in a vacuum. Across those 45 days, the 7 buses that we're tracking had an estimated fuel cost waste of $1,056. So if we multiply that across the fleet and that number stays the same, if we wanted to make a goal for a 10% reduction in that, that would result in a potential savings of $3,600. The transportation department has alerts currently enabled that anytime a bus is idling longer than 30 minutes, they will both get a text message and an email, and I believe every morning during pickup and drop-off, you are getting those alerts. To my understanding, Kentucky, they are not supposed to be idling the buses, or running the buses rather, during loading and unloading. So it just gives you the ability to enforce that policy that's already in place. And then on the right, we're just showing you the driving hours for each driver. So we are tracking the drivers as well as the bus. We're tracking the driver through either manual input through the school system, and then as well as the driver-facing dash camera is powered by artificial intelligence. Similar to your iPhone, when you have facial recognition, we're able to tag the drivers as they hop around. This is going to be the bus 1, so the stop paddle deployment that I just referenced. This was bus 1's route on Friday. So this was their morning drop-off route anytime that stop paddle was deployed. And then the other panel, is the total miles driven in order for your organization since we've installed. Fleet maintenance and health tracking was another pain point that we identified. So this is going to talk a little bit more about the integration with the current FleetSoft subscription that you have, or the current FleetSoft program that you have. FleetSoft is where Ryan and his team track preventative maintenance schedules, parts, work orders for any buses that need to be repaired. Our system feeds all of the data from the engine directly into that. So if bus 1 is out driving this afternoon and their check engine light comes on, our system tells FleetSoft that they need to fix it.
Yeah, I will know their problem wrong with that bus before the driver even can call us.
What are you putting in the buses? In
It's
order-
a small box, so.
Is that the black, is that the
Yep.
box there?
So it's a little bit bigger than the new iPhones. So it tucks
Oh.
up underneath the dashboard. There's an accelerometer and a G-force meter in there. So that's how we're measuring if a driver were to slam on the brakes, if they accelerate too fast. And then we're pairing that data with the cameras where we're also doing distance tracking to aggregate a safety score. A screenshot on the right is just a brief overview of some of the diagnostics we get as the buses are driving around. So we're pulling a lot of the pressure readings. Essentially anything that could go wrong with the motor, we're going to be able to track in real time. If a check engine light comes on, it could be anything from an O2 sensor to some sort of catastrophic failure. That just lets Ryan and his team know in real time if the bus needs to pull over. We can also dispatch another bus from our system to go pick them up, and then you could reroute that to a centralized drop-off point. The digital pre-trip inspection report is another feature that is free. So we have two apps. We have basically a fleet manager app that Denny and Ryan run, and then there is a driver app. The driver app enables the drivers to take the pen and paper form for the vehicle inspections, the Kentucky state required inspection, and we can automate that through an application just to make it easier on them. We tag that with photos, and then there is a certification block on the bottom. Any defect that is noted on that is also automatically transmitted to FleetSoft. So if there's a broken left mirror, Ryan's team gets notified instantly that there's a broken left mirror on bus 1. This is an overview of the fleet maintenance and health currently. So the graph on the bottom is our electrification reporting. So where we're looking at this is not just for replacing buses immediately with electric buses. We're also looking at alternative fuels. So we're tracking the lifetime utilization of that bus, how far that bus goes on an average day, the max that bus goes. We're going to calculate the estimated fuel savings that you would get from transitioning that bus to an alternative fuel source, and then also the estimated annual carbon emissions. So we're going to grade that from a score of excellent to good. And again, this is just a snapshot across the 7 buses we're installed on.
So I have a question. When it comes to these different, I mean, it's like apples and oranges because we've got some places in Clark County that you got to go way up a hill. So how does that get accounted for when you're out in trap or something like that?
So there's a few other reports that we can run too. So if there is a bus that has a significantly lower miles per gallon, we can track that over the course of a week, a year, a month. The top right is going to be the fleet utilization. So that's where we look at one bus is utilized 40% out of the 7. It is utilized 40% of the time. So when we go through that, in theory, the transportation department can start rotating those buses out. So when we look over the course of a year, we want those numbers to all be fairly flat, and that way you're going to extend the lifetime of your current buses, and then you would also have more relevant data to phase them out. So like you said, there are buses that may go to more rural areas of the county. They may have a worse miles per gallon just because of road conditions. So if we can balance those out, it'll give you more accurate readings for which buses you should replace.
Which sounds great. However, if I'm a 6th grader and I've rode this bus, and now I'm supposed to ride a different bus, and how are we going to address that with our children?
We had talked about not making changes until the end of the year, so that you're not making a change weekly or monthly or quarterly to where you would confuse kids.
Yeah.
But at the end of the year, collectively look at it, and then next year, they know that my new bus is this, and it's for the whole year.
Okay.
Because that was some of the conversations we had about not overdoing it, because then it's difficult enough with bus changes and remembering what substitute buses are. We're not going to do that. It's a great question, though.
And then that data paired with the FleetSoft data will also let you know which buses are the most expensive to maintain. So you can kind of look at the two together at the end of the year and see from that point which buses should be phased out, which buses should swap routes.
I'd like to know from you guys what are your all's thoughts? Is this something you all? I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know your names, but how do you think this is a beneficial thing for you all? My child rides the school bus every day,
Absolutely.
so
My child rides a bus. I
Yeah.
have three girls. I mean, Tom's, you're killing it. up there. You're touching all the points that we need to.
Yeah. So, I think the thing that we're really impressed with is the variant, that this is gonna allow us the ability to do. And once we get it and we roll it out, we will, we'll put out a massive amount of literature on it to teach the parents how to use it. And I'm really impressed with it because, you can put you'll get, like Ryan said, you'll get a text and they'll say, hey, the bus is coming. It'll get instead of those kids waiting out there in the cold for 10, 15 minutes on a bus, if my bus is 3 minutes away, I get a ding, I know I can start heading for the bus instead of waiting 10 minutes in the cold.
Outside, yeah.
So I think that's what we're really impressed with is that, so, because I get a lot of calls all the time, hey, where's the bus, where's the bus? Well, this will give us a more accurate, give them a more accurate ETA of the bus, instead of saying, 5 or 10 minutes, I could say, I could pop into this Samsara, hey, the bus is 30 seconds down the road, I can see it turning right on, Main Street, it'll be there momentarily.
And we can customize that data
Yeah.
to who we allow that access to see where that bus, or when that bus arrives.
Right.
At
So you-
present, if we wanted to capture video that occurred on a bus, the bus driver will radio to dispatch saying, such and such a time, we need you to pull video to see what happened on this bus.
Yeah.
We'd have to wait for the bus to come back to the lot, go into the bus, pull the hard copy off of the data, go back in, plug it into a computer, find where that time frame was to see what had happened. This program allows us to look at it in real time, in the cloud, as opposed to.
I can have it sent to the principal before the bus even gets back to the garage.
What about the sustainability of the buses, like the maintenance? Does this program allow for more efficient maintenance so we can keep the buses going longer?
Yeah, like that screen he had pulled up right there, like, we're not trying to switch kids overnight, but we do need to, as a whole, as Clark County, look at the utilization of our fleet. We don't need to be using a bus that's 2 years old and slamming all these miles on it, and it's already out of warranty, when it should still be in warranty. There's no manual entry, so my guys don't have to input mileage, any faults. All that stuff is sent to FleetSoft from Samsara's GPS.
Yeah, it's a lot of touch-free stuff.
We realize this is a pilot, a sort of a new technology, and that's why we're presenting to the board a pilot. I mean, the company would have preferred us to be presenting to you a 3 to 5 year contract. We worked with the company to offer a 6-month pilot to give us an opportunity to see if this actually works and does what it purports to do on a larger scale with 61 buses. So the proposal in front of you is for 6 months pilot, and then we would come back to you and tell you whether this works for us or not, and then we would look possibly, if we like it, at a 3 to 5 year contract with the company.
Denny's saying he wants to set Clark County on the map for safety, efficiency, have these parents trust in our, in transportation, in our departments, we just need to take that leap.
I would suggest to have a pilot with a parent portal too. So if you get the parents set up, have like 20 parents instead of giving it to everybody
Yeah.
at once.
What we can get together with Justin, and we'll send out a pilot program of it.
Yeah.
Just tell them this is what we're gonna start using, they can sign up for it, I just
There's
can't.
five people, student ID, school, there's 5 people in
Yeah, we can roll out that media and teach parents how to use it.
Yeah.
I think we have a lot of success with it, and, coming from where we came from, we didn't have anything like this, and I think it's an incredible opportunity for Clark County on the map, for us, something other than Cincinnati Dennis.
Yeah, so I was looking at it today online. I think it's incredible software, especially my background's a technical background, and understand the cloud, but we need to look at the sustainability long term too, of what it costs. Guess what I was going to say I would love the feedback from the parents, on the pilot, see what they think, so you can tweak it, so you can roll it out to 5,000, to everybody, 5,000 students.
A few of our employees are trying to
Yeah.
That's
and those are out of the employees that they like.
part of the pilot.
But in order for them all to work
We're already recruiting.
Yeah.
We're already recruiting
Dora.
Dora's up here, since she's a parent, to be part of the pilot.
Oh, I mean, and my two kids ride the bus in the morning, so you can put
Yeah.
me on there too. I mean,
Yeah, so-
That gives us direct feedback.
Call dispatch, hey, my bus never came, or hey, when's the bus gonna be here? Well, we can actually pop in, I don't know if you have your laptop, do you?
I've got the dashboard pulled up on the other computer if you want me to do that.
actually pop into a bus and show
Yeah, I mean, we can tell the parent within 5 seconds where the bus
where
is
the
at.
bus actual
Now,
location.
they can't, like, only they can see their child's information. Like, I can't see Ryan, I can't go in
Okay.
and log into his stuff.
Mhm.
Because I know that a lot of parents will have some concerns about, has anybody been able to see it, but it doesn't work that way. Only Ryan can see his student's information. No other parent can see Ryan's stuff unless he.
Or any other bus.
Or any other bus. So, yeah.
So what does the, kind of switching the conversation, the drivers of the test pilot so far, do they know about it? Are they getting any feedback? You getting any feedback from them?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll hop into the safety side a little bit. So I'll go through how the cameras function a little bit more, but I want to pull up your actual screens here. So one thing that Mr. Stump mentioned that I hate talking about with schools in particular is, so if a bus were ever in an accident and the driver were incapacitated, our system automatically alerts the director that something happened, and that same 60-second clip will get sent to them. So as that crash happens in real time, it'll get kicked over to them, it'll give you the location of the bus, and it'll show you exactly what happened. You can also then pull up the cameras and live stream what's going on in the bus in real time. And then that's where you can send that GPS data to law enforcement. So we are essentially recording the entire time you turn the key on until you turn it off. Like they mentioned, you can go in and instantly retrieve video instead of having to wait for that to come back into an SD card. We can retrieve up to an hour at one time through a hyperlapse. You can go through and receive HD footage in 10-minute intervals. We do not charge you for data. We do not charge you for how many videos you pull down. If you wanted to hire someone to record every single video on every single bus every day, you could. And then it would be a colossal amount of data that would just live in your system. On data, the data is entirely yours. Whatever your current FOIA policy is would just go into this system as well. We do not delete anything. Your trip history data, any maintenance data will live in the system indefinitely. And then the same thing with any footage that you pull down and save. So everything sits there until you physically go in and delete it. These are some driver performance overviews from our system. So these are the 7 pilot buses. So our system takes essentially all of the data the bus is grabbing. So we're grabbing speed, what we refer to as policy violations. So currently those are set up as mobile usage, and then no seatbelt. So if we detect that a driver does not have a seatbelt on, we'll take a snapshot of that and send that out. If a driver is on their mobile phone, we will also detect that and send that out to you as well. Within our system, we do have a coaching program. So when you do have these events for forward collisions, harsh brakes, mobile usage detection, you can assign a coach through our system, and then over time you can track if there was any repeat offenses. And then if you look back over the course of a year, 2 years, 3 years, you'd be able to track the effectiveness of your coaching program.
I know Dr. Parrish isn't here, but it'd be a great scorecard for retention purposes, for bonuses and things of that nature.
So that is, we actually see more of a positive impact on retention. There's not that many people that use this for disciplinary purposes. This is more as a pre-disciplinary tool. Most people don't even realize that they're doing something that may be unsafe. Most people don't realize they speed when they drive or they brake too harshly. So this gives you the opportunity to speak with those individuals, give them actionable data, give them insights before you would have to take disciplinary action. And then the proposal, I'm just going to briefly talk about what the technology that would go into the buses would be. So the VG54 is our gateway that's plugging directly into the 9-pin port, so the diagnostic port on all of the school buses. That's where we're grabbing all of the engine health data. Inside of that, we have 2 separate SIM cards. So all except for 2 of the buses are currently running on AT&T. We do not charge you for mobile usage. We do have 2 rural routes that do not have good AT&T coverage, so they have Vodafone SIM cards. So those continue to hop. If there's anywhere in the county on the other routes that there is no cell service whatsoever, we do store data on there until it uploads to the cloud. Inside of that, if someone were to break into the bus in the middle of the night, there's no SD card in there, there's nothing for them to be able to pull off and grab. Same thing with the cameras. The cameras plug directly into that VG54, and the cameras upload everything into the cloud. So as soon as they receive cell connection again, they'll upload directly. The panic button just enables the drivers to timestamp videos. So this is what allows them to send a 60-second clip just as they're driving around if there was no harsh event detected.
So are we replacing cameras with these cameras?
No, these coincide, they coincide with our existing technology.
Okay,
We use our cameras.
Yeah.
okay, awesome.
And that's really it for the presentation. If there's any questions, I do have the dashboard pulled up to show you.
You know, you did a great job.
I think what it does, what it does is down in the component, just makes the drivers more accountable for their safety. We have children on board that, like, it'll send an auto alarm, hey, please fasten seatbelt. You know, please place your cell phone down, or it just sends the driver a reminder, hey, reminds them that they're being watched. Other things are very cool.
So the proposal that I see here is the licenses.
Yes.
What about the VG and the cameras?
So we are the manufacturer of the hardware and we do not charge you for it.
Okay.
So there's no additional use charges, there's no cell data charges. We do all of our agreements through those providers. All you pay is the subscription cost.
My team will do the install. Maybe a month, for 2 weeks. Maybe else is the buses.
My colleague and I have done the 7 buses in between pickup and drop off when we were here. They are fairly easy to install.
What's the time frame on getting all the buses equipped, do you think? Okay,
That's rough, yes.
yeah. So probably by February, it'll be up and going.
We can get them here pretty quick. So it really just depends on, how many resources you wanted to devote to installing them. I mean, you saw how fast we hooked them up, so. Yeah, we did 7 in 4 hours. So.
Mr. Howard, what is your opinion of this?
My recommendation would be to accept this trial. I think our bus garage, I've not, they're always excited to work in Clark County, let me be clear. But watching them explain the benefits, not only to the transportation department, but to our parents, and to our kids, and supporting our drivers to continually grow, I couldn't get them to stop smiling. So I think it's absolutely worth the investment. And then our company's been very gracious to work with us. I think we could be a pilot and a leader in the state of Kentucky. I'm very supportive of this.
Is this, is the funding through contingency, or because that could be used for ESSER, or?
I don't think we could qualify it as.
Not qualified.
I think, because it's not really COVID related, you gotta keep that
Yeah.
tag on ESSER dollars.
And they restricted that a little bit more, didn't they?
Transportation's current budget absorbs it, or we use contingency are the two
Okay.
options.
Now, I know, like,
Right.
the our gasoline has went down. Has diesel went down any? Do our buses go by diesel?
Yes, diesel.
Has that decreased the,
It's come down a little, but not.
not a
It's
lot?
something we're working on. With this technology, I think we can address
Mm-hmm.
some of that usage.
We do some of the idle time.
Correct.
So when let's say they start their day and they're at Baker and they're waiting for the kids to come out, are they supposed to have the buses turned off once they get there?
No, because technically they're still on route.
They're still
So,
en route? Okay.
yeah, when you're unloading or when you're loading, you're at the high school, you're about to load students, and Denny can speak on this, because this is more his department. You would really have the bus off and then let the kids load, then start the bus up, proceed on.
Like, for the winter weather, you don't want them, on the
Yeah,
cold
you want a
bus.
cold bus.
A couple minutes before the dismissal, they could turn it on to kind of get the bus warm before they come out, but, you know, that, I mean, that's just gonna be a given. I wouldn't want my people on the cold bus.
Right.
Start them up a little bit before, but,
Especially the wee littles. We don't want the wee
oh,
littles.
right, yeah, so they're letting it idle for 30 minutes at a time. When we first started this program, I mean, my phone, beep, 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 beep. I'm like, what in the world is all these texts coming from? And it's hey, your buses are idling. Well, we've addressed that and they've cut it down a lot. Now we still get maybe 1 or 2 out of the 7, but, you know, we're working on it. And my phone won't be on.
You don't have any other discussion? Well, I'll make a motion to approve funds for the proposed transportation software pilot initiative with Samsara. Am I saying that correct?
Simsar. We all say it different.
Samsara, okay. For the remainder of the 22-23 school year in the amount not to exceed 27,000.
A second.
Got a motion, second, all in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Finance and Human Resource Update. Acknowledgement of the monthly Clark County Public School financial update, Ms. Ellis.
All right, so in front of you, you have our monthly financial, and we talked last month that we got our big check, so it is reflected in our monthly financials this time as we reported. We received another tax check, which you should see in the board report. So we're actually up to 88% collection of our taxes, which is fantastic, of our property taxes. We're at 45% of our motor vehicle collection, so we are trucking along right at our percentages of revenues, expenditures, collections of those tax as we have in the prior years. So we are still, we're functioning as we have in the prior years, and we are on par to meet our revenues that we have budgeted. Any question over any of the financials?
We have any questions?
Okay.
No?
Just to kind of point to the consent items while I'm standing up here, there's several procedure updates, and some of it, most of it is just kind of housekeeping. We have moved to a lot of electronic platforms, and so in consulting with Ms. McCoy, it's just we needed that language kind of added to our procedure documents to not have to still physically do the paper document, because we're really doing the electronic. So these procedures are really updating that language and making the documents of use of how we're really functioning. And then we've gotten our first KETS offer for the year, so that's a routine item at this time. If there's
And can you explain that KETS just a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So KETS is actually our technology, that's their main funding source, and it is driven by Justin and I sit down every year and do this lovely thing called a TAR report, which is Technology Activity Report. And basically we have to report to the state all of our technology, and based on the needs of the entire state of Kentucky, they kind of pull that money of what they've put in a pot for KETS and then divvy it out based on needs to districts. And so this is, they used to do 3 offers. They've condensed it down to 2 offers last year, and this year going forward it'll be 2 offers from now on. So you'll see one in December, one in March, most likely. And it's basically that pot of money, this is what they're offering us. And part of the caveat is the district matches that funds. So the state will give us the dollar amount you see tonight, and we're saying we'll give that exact dollar amount out of our general fund, and then that creates a grant, per se, the KETS grant, that Justin then facilitates for technology within the district.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other questions? Authorized payment salaries and accounts payable.
We need to pay our bills, please.
I make a motion to pay the people.
We got a motion.
I'll second. the
We have a
motion to
second.
pay.
All in favor? Aye.
Popular one.
Thank you.
All right, staff retention and recruitment, consider approval of 03-1231 personal leave certified and 03.2231 personal leave classified.
So we are proposing as a retention and recruitment piece for our staff is currently, upon hire, staff members get one personal day, and then once they've served 4 years within their district, we get a second personal day. The statute does allow up to 3 total personal days, so we are asking that we modify our policy just to, upon hire, give those 3 days. And this is really kind of matching what districts around us are already doing. We're kind of behind the 8 ball on that one, to be in all honesty. So we're asking that this starts with the new fiscal year, July 1, 23. And so this is the first reading, so we would bring back second reading. And I did notice, just in looking at it, we've got a line, this does not include the time earned in other districts. That actually was kind of a caveat of something we were trying to propose that went against the regulation that Ms. McCoy caught for us. So we really don't need that line in there. So on the second reading, we need to take that off of there, because that doesn't really pertain to what's.
So I just want to make sure, so
Yeah.
so you get 1 day when you first start, and then after 4 years, you get a second, but
Correct.
you all are proposing to make it 3 days upon
Just
hire.
upon hire, you get 3 days.
So there's also this number 4 in here, so.
That's we wanted to propose 4 days because we wanted to try to be inventive and be above and beyond what other districts are doing, but
Gotcha.
the
Okay.
reg actually says you can only have a max of 3.
Okay.
So after we went through the language and she was reading through it again, we were trying to be really inventive, but it didn't.
Trying to lead the state.
I had to put the brakes
So
on
that's what
going.
I'm saying, that one line that we need to strike out on the
Sorry,
second reading was
That's
really in
okay. I had to be
relation
the
to
bad guy.
adding the 4 days.
We got excited.
KRS says that you can grant up to 3. It
Yeah.
doesn't say there's any discretion to go above that, so.
Okay.
So we're gonna be inventive in another way, we'll bring that back to you later, but right
Got a
now,
great
we're
job.
just asking for the max of the 3 we're allowed, and just give it to them. And that's kind of the recruitment piece of trying to get them into our district,
Yeah.
to just, you get 3 personal days up.
So do you
upon
need us
hire.
to take that out now?
On second, I mean, this is first reading, so, I mean, you could say with that
We could-
caveat, and then
we could
it's
approve
however
it.
y'all need to approve that.
We could
then when
approve
it
it
comes
with the
back-
changes.
Yeah,
With the
in the
changes.
second reading, we'll have that off of there.
Yeah.
I moved to approve it with the changes as discussed, the personal leave to 3 days.
We have a motion by Ms. Hall.
Second.
Second by Ms. Ritchie. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you all.
Internal board business, discuss and approve the date for January's board organizational meeting. That's me. So, if we look at our calendar, if January 3rd works for everyone at 6:30, I think that's the first Tuesday.
It's
Will that
good for
work?
me.
Yep.
That work?
I might not be able to be here, but if it's just the organizational meeting, I don't know if that's necessary.
It's just organizational meeting and one or 2 items. They may probably be very quick, so. Okay.
And I may, it just depends on what the other board I represent does.
So I'll make a motion that our organizational meeting will be 6:30 on January 3rd, 2023.
A second?
A motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Passes. Discussion and approval to enter into an agreement with PS Consulting. We discussed this at our last meeting, to look at a consultant to oversee the construction of the preschool. We have received that contract, and I believe Ms. McCoy's had a chance to look at that. Any issues with the contract?
I didn't see any issues. Sometimes contracts have like an alternative dispute resolution, like before you can go to court, you must go to mediation, or it just says we'll attempt to negotiate, so it doesn't have real strong language that I would object to. So otherwise, I don't see any issue with that.
Okay. So, any discussion?
No.
So I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with PS Consulting.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Okay, superintendent's report, Mr. Howard.
Sure, I actually don't have a ton. I just want to thank everyone for being here. We also want to thank our staff for the incredible work they've done the first semester. I will encourage everybody to utilize your break, hug people, tell them you love them. Spend time with your loved ones. I know that's not a report, but I think in life, your most precious precious resource you have is your time. And although I demand excellence and I want to work hard for our kids, I also want our staff to really take time to hug people and that's in their lives to care for. I wish everyone happy holidays, and again, Friday will be our last day until we get kids back January the 3rd.
Thank you. Okay, consent items. Any discussion, any items we need to pull off to discuss?
I don't have any. Miss Dorr.
I'm good. I'm gonna say I had the honor to read all of the Governor Scholar applications and score them, and I saw a lot of these things, like the Amazing Shape competition and things I had never heard of before. So I think that our students just have so many awesome opportunities. So I'm happy to make a motion to approve, unless she's got something.
So, yeah, well, Donald, where are we on the bleachers?
Bleachers, we have the drawings that have been submitted by the architects, and we're looking to put the bill, the bid, one of them in the spring.
Okay.
Possibly, but Baker's bleachers to be sent. They're
Okay.
waiting for those to arrive.
You waiting for what?
The bleachers to arrive, they've been ordered.
They have been ordered? Okay.
Okay, that's jogged my memory too. So, an
Sorry.
update on the youth football field lights.
Yeah, we have discussed with, we have Sean K. Wilson's working the drawings up for us on that, and their projected date to go to bid is, May or April, May.
Okay. Sorry, didn't mean to put you on the spot, just jogged my memory.
Oh, I seen bleachers and I was like, oh yeah, keep
Yeah.
meaning to ask that.
Yeah. So,
Now you can go to her.
On the Stroud Station EIFS replacement, what is that bleachers too, or is that something?
No, that's stucco on the sides of the buildings, all the way around the building, the stucco is deteriorating,
Yeah.
the wood behind it's getting rotten, so we're replacing all of it with metal.
Okay, I remember that now. Okay, thank
That'll be
you.
going to bid soon as well.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve all of the consent items.
we have a motion from Ms. Hall,
I'll second.
second, Ms. Ritchie, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Do we have a motion? Let me make sure we go through. We have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Ms. Ritchie makes that motion.
A second.
Second by Ms. Hall, all in favor? Aye. We are adjourned at 7:53.